Mr. Rivera, you have a charge of possession or consumption of alcohol in a public place. When someone is over the age of 21 and they have that charge, our prosecutors have a plea offer that involves ultimately dismissing the charge for you. They would want you to complete a 250-word handwritten essay and then submit that to their office. If they were satisfied with the essay that you put some thought into it, and you got it handwritten to them before the next court date that we would give to you, which would be a few weeks out, then they would dismiss the charge. There are no fees associated with the dismissal. The case would immediately close once they asked me to dismiss and I signed the order dismissing. And for any case that we dismiss, we automatically seal the record. So this is an offer that they make for people who are over 21, don't have a prior offense for this type of charge. You're not required to accept that offer, but if you'd like to, then we would be resetting your case. You wouldn't likely have to come back to court because you would get the dismissal order before that date, as long as you got things to them in a timely manner. So that's an option for you.
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
I prefer to do that.
Want to do that? Okay, so we won't have any plea entered today, and we're simply going to reset your case. And I'm authorizing you to appear by Zoom video if you needed to appear on your next court date. My hope is and expectation is that you won't, but I'll send you out front. What you should expect is you'll get an email from the prosecutors, because hopefully they already have your email address, and we want to make sure that you give that to the folks out front if we don't have it yet. So just double check that we have that for them. They will email you their expectations, and then you'll email in response to that. You'll look at what they've described as what you need to do. You'll send that essay to them, then they'll file the motion to dismiss. All right, so right out front, they'll get you that next court date.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Hibry. Same circumstance for you as the last gentleman I spoke to, is you have a charge of possession or consumption of alcohol in a public place.
It was marijuana.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I misread that. You're correct. Same offer, though.
Yes, I will take that offer.
All right, so they're willing to dismiss as long as you write that 250-word handwritten essay. And it sounds like that's what you'd like to do.
Yes, please.
All right, so no plea will enter today, and we will reset your case out front. If you don't receive something in the next day or two from the prosecutors, make sure you check back with the court or with them.
Okay.
You'll probably have our contact information. So just to make sure that there isn't a glitch in the communication process here, but they should be sending you an email, and make sure you give your email address out front so that you can
Yes.
get that email. It is a charge of possession or consumption of alcohol in public. You are eligible to have the charge dismissed if you write the 250-word handwritten essay. That's an option for you. What would you like to do?
I'd do that.
You want to accept that? All right, so any questions for me? All right, if you'll make sure we have good email address for you out front, I'll send you there. Make sure you get that essay back to them in enough time so they can file their motion to dismiss, and then I can grant that before your next court date.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning to you, Mr. Hendren. I have two charges for you. There's a charge of possession or consumption of alcohol in public, and then there's a charge of consumption of marijuana in public. Two separate charges, both allegedly occurring at 1001 Arapahoe Road on August 30th of 2025. The notes I have here says that you aren't currently housed. Is that accurate?
I live in my truck and I travel from Florida to Houston and from Houston to Boulder for the last 14 years.
Okay, and then are you planning on staying in Boulder, or are you on your way?
I have never found it over the last 14 years convenient to get an apartment filled with furniture for just 4 months and then sell everything. And I just prefer to live in my truck when I travel.
Okay. Obviously, make sure you're complying with whatever rules and regulations are out there for you. The only reason I asked is that I was thinking it might be worthwhile to have a conversation with one of our navigators. I'm looking at Sebastian. Do you think it's still worthwhile to have that conversation?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Hendren, let me explain to you a little bit about what Sebastian does. Ordinarily, he works with people who are to some extent involuntarily unhoused, that they're living on the street and they would like to find housing. But he also helps work with people who might need some additional help to get some stability while they're here. So if you want to have a conversation with him, the advantage of having that conversation is that our prosecutors have authorized him to work out sanctions that someone might complete, some kind of idea that they might get something that helps them with stability, getting a driver's license, an ID, or something else that helps with their stability.
Yes.
And if they do that, our prosecutors are often willing to dismiss the charge
Yes.
or charges that the person's facing. So it might be worthwhile having that conversation with Sebastian.
It's something I would be interested in, but thank you.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like you're interested in that. Next step then would be where you could have a conversation with the prosecutor as well to explain your side of this case with them and see if there's a resolution that you could reach. You're not required to do that either. You have the right to plead guilty to the charges. If you did, I would probably be imposing a fine of some sort or community service, or you could plead not guilty and set them over for trial. But if you'd like to talk to a prosecutor first, you could have that conversation.
I spoke with a couple of homeless people that I've known for several years, and they said I could go to some place called Deacon's Closet and they could have the charges dismissed, but then I would have to set up time to do community service. And between work, I would not be interested whatsoever in 10, 12, whatever the hours are of community service. It's not that I don't want to get back to the community. I just waited to, and it wouldn't be worth it for me to take a day off work.
Okay.
Or a day off play.
So you could plead not guilty and set for trial, but then you'd have to come back for trial, or you could plead guilty to the charges.
Right. I'm not interested in that. I just want to plead no contest.
No contest to the charges, that's perfectly fine as well. When you plead no contest, I have to ask a couple of questions to make sure that it's a voluntary decision to plead no contest, and I'm happy to accept that from you. Count one is a charge of consumption of marijuana in public. When you plead no contest to that charge, you're giving up your right to trial to that charge. Do you understand that?
I just have a quick question here.
Sure.
By pleading no contest to this, is it considered a drug charge which would go against me getting the passport?
I'm not allowed to give you legal advice.
Oh, I
So-
was asking.
And that is a question that would have to come from the folks who issue
It's
passports.
a drug charge though.
It's a possession of marijuana misdemeanor charge. Whether it's a drug offense that's identified by the federal government as something that would prohibit a passport, I can't comment on because I don't know.
Okay.
If I gave you incorrect legal advice,
Yeah, of
I'd be in
course.
trouble for that. So now, if you'd like to continue the case over and consult with somebody, let me tell you this about what we do with these charges. The police department issued the summons and it's come to our court. We do not enter this into any kind of database. When you plead guilty to this charge, our court imposes a consequence or no contest, and the case closes. Doesn't mean we don't have a record of it here. We would,
Right.
but it's not. We don't put it into a digital database.
Okay. The last 14 years that I've been coming here, Your Honor, I stay at Boulder Creek Library when I get off work, and I've never heard of an ordinance that says not only can you, and I'm not talking about marijuana, you can't vape, smoke cigarettes, or marijuana in the park. And there's nothing in the park that says this is a no smoking area and I've never heard of it amongst my homeless friends, nor have I see college kids and tourists openly smoking weed in the park. And I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying, just visually, I haven't seen that.
Okay, and I can appreciate that. I mean, there are obviously ordinances that are in place, and there may be signs in some locations, but I don't know that I've seen a lot of signs that say that.
I don't see any
Obviously,
signs
smoking
on the
marijuana in public, it would naturally be something that we should probably expect would be unlawful. Smoking a cigarette in public, I could see why people would be like, I didn't know that was against the law.
I was here 10, 14 years ago when they were giving free joints away in the park, huge boxes, and everybody was doing what they had back in the day with selfies.
Probably not from government officials, possibly from people who are giving marijuana away. But
Dispensary or something.
yeah, it's not coming from government officials. Government officials are not giving away marijuana in the park. I can guarantee you that. But if you want to plead no contest to this charge, let me go through the questions. All right. So the charge, if you do plead no contest, you're giving up your right to trial and all the other rights I've described to everybody.
Yes.
Do you understand that? Are you doing that voluntarily?
I am.
Is anybody forcing you to plead no contest?
No, sir.
Are you under the influence of any medications or drugs or alcohol today?
No, sir.
And you said you do understand the consumption of marijuana in public charge?
I'm sorry.
You understand that charge?
Yes, I do.
Then do you agree that there's evidence to support that charge? In other words, you're agreeing that there's evidence showing that you did in fact smoke marijuana in a public place?
Correct.
All right. You're doing this without a lawyer to represent you. If you wanted, we could continue the case over and you could hire counsel, and you're shaking your head, no, you don't want to do that.
No, sir.
Are you comfortable going forward without a lawyer?
I am.
And do you understand that a lawyer might do a better job of representing you than you do representing
I'm
yourself?
sure he or she will.
And did you graduate high school or earn
I
GED?
did.
So you understand the rights that you're giving up.
I do.
All right. I am going to find that it's a free and voluntary decision. Count one is the charge of consumption of marijuana in public in violation of section 5102 of the Boulder Revised Code occurring August 30th of 2025 at 1001 Arapahoe. How do you plead to that charge, sir?
No contest.
I'll accept that no contest plea. Count two is a charge of possession or consumption of alcohol in public. This is a violation of section 572 of the Boulder Revised Code. Do you understand that charge?
I do.
And do you agree that there's evidence to support that charge?
I do.
Let me go ahead and accept the plea to that. It is violation of section 572 of the Boulder Revised Code occurring August 30th of 2025 at 1001 Arapahoe. How do you plead to that charge?
No contest.
I'll accept the no contest plea. I'm going to look at the notes from the officer. Nothing aggravating about the circumstances in the back of your truck.
He was just simply walking through the park, kind of doing a walkthrough. I physically, when he pointed at the beer, I showed him that it was warm. I guess it doesn't matter whether it's warm or cold, but I think my point is there was a cooler right there with cold items in it. And it was clear that had been there, I don't know, sometime in the afternoon or whatever, but I had neglected to throw it out. But the fact that there was a little beer in the bottom of it, it did appear that I was drinking openly, but
Okay.
it is.
Okay. Let's see. The last cases we have for you go way back to 2015 and 16. So first case in a long time for us, or 2015. So I'm going to, on count one, which is the consumption of, that's the alcohol in public charge, I'm going to impose a $100 fine. On the other charge, count two, I'm going to suspend the fine of $100. So you'll have just $100 plus $30 in court costs to pay. Are you able to pay that $130 today?
I thought each charge was $50.
Yeah, no, what you're-
If there's a total of $100, how are you dismissing one, but then charging me $100 for the one that's supposed to be $50?
Well, you're actually misreading the ticket. The ticket, that's the bond amount that we place. When someone fails to appear in court, they have to post a bond to be released from custody.
I apologize.
No, that's okay. That's all right. You're not the first person who said that and thought that was the fine amount. So it's a common mistake that's made. But in any event, that is just the bond amount. The fine can go anywhere from no fine
The total
to
is
higher.
$130?
The total's $130.
All right,
Are you able to pay that today?
I am.
All right, I'll send you right out front. They'll collect the payment and get you on your way.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Marina's pulling up the ticket for us, Mr. Rosas, and I'll go over it with you. There are three charges pending for you. There's a charge of failing to have a dog license as required by section 472 of the Boulder Revised Code, a charge of failing to have a rabies vaccination for your dog, actually four charges, then a charge of dog at large, and then the more serious charge is having an aggressive animal. The aggressive animal charge, I'd just like to explain to people what the possible circumstances could be associated with that charge. If you plead guilty to that charge or you're found guilty at trial, then what I typically do is order an evaluation of the dog. And that requires that you take your dog to one of several agencies, most likely to the Boulder Valley Humane Society, and have an evaluation done. The purpose of that evaluation is for me to place conditions on sentence that would prevent another incident. So I just want you to be aware that it's a two-step process for us. It wouldn't just be a fine and we send you on your way. It would be if you plead guilty, there would be that evaluation, and then you would come back for sentencing on another date. So just want you to be aware that you haven't pled guilty to anything, but I wanted to make sure you understood what that might look like if you did. Options for you today. You could talk to the prosecutor if you'd like to discuss the case with her and see if you can work out an agreement with her. That's one way to proceed. You could also continue over if you'd like to hire counsel, or you could plead guilty to the charge. And you, of course, can always plead not guilty to the charges and set them over for trial. What would you like to do?
I'm probably going to talk to the prosecutor or see if I can get a continuance. Because also the rabies vaccination, they already gave it to them at the Humane Society.
Okay.
Because they said they were going to charge me for that one. And the dog is not, I was watching it for somebody else, so.
That might be stuff that you'd like to share with the prosecutor. It might be worthwhile to have that conversation with her. So you could have the conversation first, and then if you work something out that you think is a reasonable way to proceed, we can resolve the case perhaps with the next step today. But if you need more time and you say, gee, I really would like a continuance after having a conversation with her, that's perfectly fine too.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so if you'll go with Ms. Keller, she'll talk to you a little bit about the case.
How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Rogers. How are you?
I'm all right.
Good. So I have a charge for you of littering. It's a violation of section 5413 of the Boulder Revised Code. This allegedly occurred at 1201 Canyon Street on September 11th of 2025. So that is the charge that's pending for you. I'm looking at the circumstances here for your address. It looks like San Antonio, Texas. Okay. Are you here visiting or are you planning on staying in Boulder? Tell me a little bit about your circumstance.
I stay in Denver right now. My mother wanted me to stay out here like a long time. I came here to like get a car in the summertime. My mother wanted me to get housing and stuff like that. I'm gonna just get my CDL, and after I get my CDL, that's when I leave the state.
Okay. It might be worthwhile to have a conversation with Sebastian. He's a gentleman to your right. Sebastian works with people who are trying to get better stability. It sounds like that might be what you're trying to achieve. And what he can do is if you take a step towards stability, he can probably get the prosecutors to agree to dismiss the charge for you. So it might be worthwhile to have a conversation and see what your needs might be. And then if there's something that he can do to help you in that regard, that might actually work in your favor to get your case dismissed.
Okay, thank
You want to have that conversation with him?
Yes, sir.
All right. So if you'll go with Sebastian, we'll see you back here in just a little bit.
I'm used to it.
Okay,
being
thank you.
pronounced various ways.
Like to get it right if I can.
Yeah, thanks.
Ms. Arndt, the charges for you are two charges having dogs at large. Those come with fines only, so there is no criminal penalty associated with it, just be a fine. But you do have the option, if you'd like to speak with the prosecutor this morning, of doing that before you make a decision on the
I
case.
would, because normally I have one dog in my guardianship. I was caring for the second dog for friends who are out of town.
Okay,
So I feel as though I'm getting two violations for a single incident. It was a newly marked seasonal leash requirement that I hadn't noticed because previously this area was not under seasonal leash requirement.
I see.
And both dogs have the voice and sight tags, and they're under good control, non-aggressive, etc.
All makes sense to perhaps have that conversation there with the prosecutor. All right, so they're both out with other folks right now, but it won't be a long wait. You're the first person to be on a list. Just to your left is a piece of paper. If you'll put your name, the one just to your right, I think that sheet of paper is blank. If you'll put your name on the top line, that's how they know that there's someone waiting to speak with them, and they'll call you as soon as it's your turn to speak with the prosecutor.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Mr. Cooper, there's one charge for you. It's a charge of launching or landing aircraft in violation of city manager rule, and that comes under section 833 of the Boulder Revised Code. A couple of different ways for you to proceed today. You could speak with the prosecutor if you'd like to discuss the circumstances of the case with one of them. That's an option. You could plead not guilty and set the case for trial, or you could plead guilty to the charge.
I guess I'm interested in pleading not guilty for safety reasons. I think it's an unsafe regulation to enforce. I don't know if talking to the prosecutor could result in it being dismissed potentially.
There's a lot of options for them, including that option, which is sometimes they'll say, well, how about if we do this and it's something you can agree to. Sometimes they're willing to dismiss it outright if they don't think they can prove the charge. I always encourage people, if they're willing to take a few minutes to have that conversation with the prosecutor, it doesn't hurt to have it generally.
Sure.
So if you put your name right below that, the name of Ms. Arndt that she just put on that list, I'll call you up when it's your turn by email or text. We send any text on this one?
We only send out the text, just letting
Okay.
know.
So typically the fine for a first-time offender is a $60 fine per offense. On a second-time offender, by ordinance, it goes up to twice that amount. It could be $120 per offense. So I wanted you to be aware of that. That doesn't mean that you're going to be pleading guilty to both counts and have 200.
Time span.
Over a 5-year period, if you get two within a 5-year period. So let me just take a quick look at, Sabrina was describing what she had, when she looked at the history, that it might be one that we have to look at that. So I wanted to make sure you're aware of that.
I had that pulled up on my system for you, sir.
There was a 2023 case. The 2014 dog at large won't apply because it's long ago, but the 2023 dog at large charge that you pled guilty to would apply, and that's what triggers it to go up to a second level of fine. So just wanted you to be aware of that before you proceed here today.
Yeah, I pled no contest to that. That was an accusation made by a neighbor who has threatened a lot of neighbors, and I didn't want to go to court.
So it might be worth talking to the prosecutor about all of that to see what they might recommend as far as fines go.
Yeah.
I have flexibility on that, but it's set by ordinance, so ordinarily I typically do follow that, but if there's reasons to not follow it, I have the authority to do that.
Okay.
So just wanted you to be aware of that part of this case, and then you can discuss all of it with the prosecutors. All right, then, and I think you'll be next up. We're going to call a couple cases here, and then we'll get you with the prosecutor.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we do have Mr. Altenberg back in the courtroom. So Mr. Altenberg, whenever you're ready to proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to call Ms. Samantha Lizio Kemek, please, who's appearing in person.
All right.
I had the opportunity to speak to Ms. Lizio Kemek about the CEO Restorative Justice Program. It's my understanding that she intends to accept the DGS and file requiring her to complete the CEO Restorative Justice Program, the CU Community Living class, and the screening by probation and the assignment of appropriate course, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Altenberg. So I'm going to pull up the document. I know you've probably already been over this, Ms. Lizio Kemek, but I want to make sure you understand what the deferred judgment means. This agreement allows you to earn a dismissal of the charges that are pending against you. You have the consumption of marijuana in public charge by a minor charge. You have a fraudulent identification charge. What the prosecutor would ask you to do is plead guilty to those two charges and then ask the court to keep the case open for a 9-month period. So the convictions would not enter, but the guilty pleas would enter today. Want to make sure that you understand when you enter a guilty plea on a possession of marijuana charge, there is a possibility it could affect financial aid. When you do the FAFSA application for financial aid, they will ask questions regarding marijuana. I've not looked at one of those, but I have heard this from others that they do ask a question on that application. And so I want you to at least be aware of that before you plead guilty to something involving marijuana so that you could at least think about the implications that might have. Like I said, I don't know what the application specifically says because I haven't looked at it. My son's only 15. We haven't yet gone down that road. But I do want you to be aware of what the possible implications could be before you make a decision to plead guilty to something. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, Your Honor. I was not in the possession of marijuana.
So that's what the charge is.
I thought it was an MIP for, I think, alcohol possession, not.
Let me take a quick look at the summons. Did we enter it incorrectly? Or maybe it's on the deferred judgment incorrectly.
On the ticket, Your Honor, I'm looking at it, and it does have both marked for possessing and consuming
it does.
alcohol by minor.
Yeah, so they marked both boxes and the prosecutors put it in the plea agreement. Yeah, I'm looking at the notes too. It might be worthwhile to have Mr. Altenberg weigh in. Mr. Altenberg, do you have any position on this?
Your Honor, we're more than willing to have a further conversation with Lizio Kemek just to determine the specifics of this charge. We did note it in our records when we had a further conversation prior to this arraignment session that the notes of the case or the notes of the allegation do note the first two charges, but the MIP-M, there wasn't any notes about that.
Yeah.
So we're more than willing to have this conversation before proceeding on this specific charge.
It might make things simpler. If you can convince Mr. Altenberg to remove the marijuana charge, then you wouldn't have to worry about the implications that would have on FAFSA or anything else. So do you want to have that follow-up conversation with him before you make a decision? Might make sense to get that worked out. Okay, so just go ahead and have a seat. We'll probably call another case or two and get those moving, and then he'll have a conversation with you. You're welcome.
We'd like to call Miss Lily Hawkins, please.
All right, Ms. Hawkins, if you'll come forward.